You're listening to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always joined by James. How you going, James?
Not bad, how are you?
Good. I'm also joined by Alan. How you going, Alan?
Good, how are you?
Good. Still good. And how you going, Callum?
You're not bad.
Also joined by Callum. All right, so it was a busy weekend for some of the boys in the studio. They went to Oz Comic-Con.
Yes.
So we're going to start the show talking about that.
Mm.
So Oz Comic-Con is is it a franchise version? Is it what's the deal with Comic-Con in Australia?
Lay the groundwork, James.
What's the deal with the Comic-Con?
What is it, James?
Is it like a little franchise version of Comic-Con, or is it like completely unrelated?
I don't know, actually. Like, what is the official connection to the original American Comic-Con?
Yeah, because that's something I'm considering. Is it just like, oh, we've got Oz Comic-Con, and it's like something completely different?
Yeah, it's called Oz Comic-Con, but is Comic-Con a...
Look, I'd laugh if there was already an Australian convention simultaneously, and like they don't have the right, like it's not like the American one, it just shares the same name. You know what I mean?
That's what I was thinking.
Like, you know how there's like some franchises in Australia that are also in America, and it's just coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a local franchise of the New York Comic-Con.
Okay.
So, I mean...
But New York, is that the same as San Diego Comic-Con?
I don't know.
It's like we're a franchise of the inferior American Comic-Con.
I'm confused now.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was this complicated.
Refer to previous issue.
So the New York Comic-Con is an annual New York City fan convention dedicated to Western comics, graphic novels, anime, manga, video games, cosplay, toys, movies, and television. It was first held in 2006 with an attendance of 200,000 people in 2022. Is North America's most attended fan convention. But is that the same as normal Comic-Con? I'm going on a...
because it's the San Diego Comic-Con, which I thought that was the big one.
That's one where all the show people go when they do.
Yeah,
that's the big...
Maybe New York is the big consumer one.
Well, New York,
San Diego is the one where people announce.
It would make sense to have an East Coast and West Coast Comic-Con, so you've got New York and San Diego. But from what I understand, San Diego is like the big one.
Yeah,
I think so. I think San Diego Comic-Con is separate. And then there's New York Comic-Con.
So is Comic-Con the word like not trademarked? We can just start a Comic-Con.
I mean,
and just call it like
should we have
a somewhat generic term?
The Tuesday Review Comic-Con?
It's comic convention. Yeah.
So like I can see it being like not trademarkable, at least at this point in time, if there's multiple entities kind of running it, not being related to each other.
So Oz Comic-Con is a franchise of New York Comic-Con, which is unrelated to the San Diego Comic-Con, which is the popular Comic-Con in the public consciousness.
This is so silly.
Starting the episode right.
It's like, oh, we're going to talk about Comic-Con. Cool.
Not that Comic-Con.
Not that one. No, but it's related to that one.
Yeah. So that's not the one you're thinking of.
Everyone's going to click on this episode because, they're going to talk about like pop culture and comic books and
but meanwhile,
sci-fi.
It's like we're talking about
semantics. It's just semantics.
Yeah. We're talking about a small convention which just happens.
Entomology, damn it! This is the entomology episode.
Yeah. Where does the word comic come from?
Oh man. So
anyway,
Comic-Con.
Yeah, so we went to Oz Comic-Con Melbourne 2024. The Melbourne version, because there's Oz Comic-Con Sydney and Adelaide and Brisbane.
And Melbourne Christmas version, apparently.
And there's a Christmas version I found out last year, which is
which is also known as SantaCon in New York, I think. Now, joke. That's
just make it.
That's a separate thing.
So we're gonna have. What are we gonna have? We're gonna have Craigieburn Comic-Con next year.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
CraigieCon.
Just people getting drunk at the station and starting to hoo-ha. Just a quick thank you to the organisers of Oz Comic-Con who provided us with 2 free tickets.
Yes.
As media,
Yeah, it was unexpected. We weren't expecting to go. We went to PAX last year, the video game convention, and that was a lot of fun. And we were like, we should do the same this year, but for more conventions. And Comic-Con, I assumed... it's more broad because it's not just video games.
Culture, yeah.
It's the like pop cultures and comic books and so I'm like, that would be good for us to go. And then we didn't hear from them for a long time. And then 2 days before, they're like, you guys
obviously bottom of the barrel. They're just like, we've still got some tickets.
Maybe,
I feel like
I think that's what happened because I don't know how much we should talk about on air, but we didn't get actual media pass badges. Yeah. We just got some free tickets, and then I saw some people wearing the actual media pass badges, and I was like, hang on a sec,
Yeah.
Why didn't we get those?
Yeah. Look,
Anyway,
we are a smaller organization.
we're nobody.
We're
yeah.
equally valid, though. You know,
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a
That's it.
broadcast.
one and a half people
Got
like
to
to listen to our
start.
opinions.
Yeah, we got to start somewhere.
That's another thing. We'll take the audience behind the scenes a little bit. When you're applying for these kinds of things, it's not really catered towards radio, I feel, these days, which is fair enough.
Well, that's the thing because
the kind of the media idea isn't necessarily broadcast radio anymore. So when they're like, "What's your reach?" We on all these applications we do every now and
it's
again.
also it's the same thing we have with PAX. It's like, or do we apply as content creators or do we apply as media?
Well,
It's
no,
like,
we're media,
no, we
yeah.
are media. We do a radio show.
and then you go to apply it, and they're like, "What's your reach?" And we're like,
Yeah.
"It's radio. We don't know."
Yeah,
like,
the
how many people
hypothetical
is
reach,
our
yeah.
hypothetical reach
Yeah.
is like 100,000
100,000,
people
yeah.
to 250,000 people. It's like, well,
I think that's just something like when we did PAX was one thing, but like doing Comic-Con this year, I 100% realized like we are not content creators at all. Like we don't. If we had time and money, maybe, but like the YouTube side, like we don't have a TikTok. We don't really. Our thing is to broadcast and discuss.
Yeah.
yeah.
At the same time, I think that's our benefit.
Yeah,
Because
we're different.
being a small get up, it's a lot harder to get noticed. And if you're just, I'm a content creator, there's probably another
There's
1,000
100
people
Oh
that
yeah,
you're all competing
everyone
with.
has a podcast. Everyone can start a YouTube channel, but we have a more conventional, traditional media outlet, which is I think why we're given
And
some opportunities, which
when-
is great.
AI destroys the world. They can't destroy radio because it's analog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We'll
true.
run the ham radios, as a resistance.
That's
But
it.
I mean,
You know?
most
I'm
of
gonna change my call sign to John Connor.
Yeah, those poor survivors will be like, man, we're trying to find out what the status of the world is. Instead, all we getting is these dudes complaining.
we're just in a bombed out building. It's like all like wearing rags, and being
hijacking
like,
the radio
We're just
signals.
talking about
being
how
like,
like Tokyo Drift was the best one.
it's like there's only like we're four people left on Earth.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like we're trying to kill each other.
they'd end
just
up
so-
sending out a specialist squad to try and take us out.
Yeah. Well, hang on. One Alum is the AI, so he's going to take over the
Exactly.
world, and then he's gonna enslave us as pets or whatever.
No, I'll be like the new Matrix movie where some of the AIs are good people. So,
Oh yeah. we'll
What new
team up
Matrix
with the
movie?
good-
They only made 3.
the one that was made against.
They only made 3.
and an animated one.
Yeah, they only made 3 in the animated one.
Matrix. Yeah.
Good.
And they're certainly not making another one.
No.
Yeah, so AI's been in the news lately, boys. How do you feel about AI? We hate it.
Yeah.
Look, we had that when AI was like we had that episode where we were like, haha, isn't this funny? ChatGPT
It's
is
not.
so dumb.
It's not funny.
And
anymore.
it grew so quickly.
Yeah.
It's crazy how
Yeah.
far like we talked about that like
Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Will Smith eating biscotti.
Yeah.
And it was like so it was all wobbly and weird. And then like they've done a new one and it's like even like it looks almost
Perfect,
real.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't even tell it's not real.
It's
unless you
scary,
really,
man.
really look
Apple's
for it.
putting it in their phones,
Yeah,
apparently.
Yeah.
Everything.
Adobe was trying to steal everyone's content.
Adobe's using it to farm
Their
content.
stock is
Yeah.
tanking because they single-handedly destroyed their own
Adobe,
business.
like Adobe,
Adobe's always been a bad company.
I
It's
follow-
morally
but now
okay
it's
to
even-
pirate.
I follow
Yeah.
Duncan Jones on Twitter, the director of Moon, and like he said, he might have to stop using Adobe products because a lot of his work is behind NDAs.
Yeah.
And Adobe's just like, nah,
We own all this
We're
now.
gonna
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
it. It doesn't NDAs don't apply if you upload your work to the cloud, which a lot of creatives do because it's just so easy to just press a button and then you can
And
go
it's a
home and
safe
edit it,
backup.
or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Now,
think
now, just on that, moving to a whole new system is very, very difficult and tedious. But if you're running a cracked version of the software, it's not connecting to the cloud. So I'm just putting it out there.
So listeners are
in
aware.
Minecraft.
So listeners are aware. That's in
Theoretically,
Minecraft.
yeah. Theoretically, in
So
Minecraft, this
listeners
is
are
what you
aware.
do.
In Australia here, it is literally cheaper to fly to America, buy Adobe, and come back than it is to buy it locally.
Yeah.
At least the best
That's
version
with
of
most.
that product.
Yeah, with most
But
things.
you know, I'm doing my part to avoid AI. I moved to Linux,
But I mean, it is a
much to Alan's chagrin.
It is a big discussion, though. It's like you've got these institutions of software, hardware, Microsoft and Adobe and all these big companies and Apple, these big companies that have monopolies or duopolies on entire sections of technology and all like our lives. And then they're doing these awful things. And for most normal people, I think we've talked about this before, it's kind of hard for them to just completely disconnect from that ecosystem and find other alternatives.
I used AI, on my personal
He was
projects.
paying for AI.
Yeah,
he
I
was
was.
contributing to the problem.
No, I was.
And now he's a Linux man.
I was using it.
He was all like, late night with the devil. I'm taking off to the star.
He's basically that man that like lived in corporate America, you know, like foreclosed on like families' homes, and now he's like a hippie. He's like property doesn't exist.
He
man.
realizes he had a peyote trip, and now he's realized that error.
No, but what? I'm not. You know me. I'm not like a hippie, like a green thumb kind of guy. But what made me move away was I found out that the carbon emissions from AI are catastrophic, and they're not slowing down. So all like companies like Microsoft, for example, had this idea that they strive to be carbon neutral. That's gone. They don't do that anymore because they literally can't. To be carbon neutral with Copilot and the OpenAI organization, they physically can't get there anymore. So now it's like
they're just not going to even try. They're just like, we'll make so much money
with NVIDIA.
AI, so
with NVIDIA putting a lot of their resources behind AI as well. It's a race to the bottom now. Like the guts are going to be ripped out of the planet. So I was like, I know it's a dumb thing because now I can't really play games on my PC. But I'm just going to move away from like Windows entirely.
Yeah, you can trace all of this corruption right back to cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Because like
a different way of computing.
Well, no. See, at a very base level, NVIDIA is like 95% of the AI hardware, something like that, right? NVIDIA is AI essentially. The company NVIDIA that manufactures the GPUs.
Powerful GPUs, yeah.
And there's
for the hardware side of
for the hardware side of AI, facilitating AI computation,
and just like the semiconductor manufacturers, like all the
AI essentially started. I would argue in the wake of cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
because you had all of this we had the developing software side of AI, but it needs vast amounts of computing space. And in the wake of, I guess, the fall of crypto, you have all of these server farms that NVIDIA made a killing out of, and NVIDIA invested into AI. But like they wouldn't have had that money. They wouldn't have been able to do that without the crypto as a base, without that hardware that they made. I guess it's
like a convenient thing. It's just like AI was always continuing to evolve and always required this kind of server space, computing power, whatever.
And the only reason we have it is because of cryptocurrency.
Crypto built that up, and it's like, oh, we've already got it. Now AI is at a place where
people aren't mining crypto anymore because they realize it's a scam.
Yeah, so they're now training language models.
So now you've got all of that hardware that's doing nothing, and now they're training AI on it. And it's all evil. Yeah, and NVIDIA is a good company.
Yeah. Do you remember AI when we were in high school? It was like the simplest, most wholesome little chatbots, and they didn't do much at all. And it's like now it's like they'll do Excel spreadsheets for you and all this stuff. Yeah. Take me back to the good old days where
chatbots, you can just crash them by saying this statement is false.
Yeah. But like, NVIDIA itself is an okay company, but I would say AI is probably the wrong way to go for the environment.
I think, we've talked about it before. All companies, their aim is to increase profits, and so at the end of the day, even the quote-unquote good companies not like just...
But anyway, moving on to Comic-Con.
Yeah, well, how do we get on AI? We're talking about it for a reason.
Alan was we're talking... No, yeah.
Had something to do with Comic-Con.
It's started off us being media, and we're analog media, and so it's weird for us to apply to places.
Us existing in like the bombed out future.
Arguing about.
That's where it started. Anyway, so we're real analog media here, everyone.
Yeah, but it's just like I would love to do more content, create. It's just we don't have a lot of time, and it's
a lot of those people make it their lives.
Yeah, and it's also I don't think like none of us are like that's.
It's
not
easy.
our...
It's all easy when you're young. If you're 19, you're only, you know what I mean? You don't really have a part-time job or you don't work as such.
But it's
you can
also,
kind of put your young energy into that.
One thing I thought about is like personality-wise, none of us are really that type of person.
None of us are Mr. Beast.
Yeah, but not even that. It's just like we're not that kind. Like,
you need to be, pardon my language, and a bit of an attention whore.
A little bit.
You need to kind of embrace that. Everyone look at me. No, we're not like that. We have a discussion program.
It's not just the Riz. It's also presenting something that people need. Like no one's ever looked at me and been like, I need to know his opinion. I need to know what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Hold on. You mean no one needs to know the white man's opinion?
Yeah, nobody cares what the whites think anymore.
But that's the thing. Is like our podcast isn't our podcast isn't unique. Our show isn't unique.
What's unique is that we're correct about movies. But continue.
That's the thing. Is like we are the most
I don't know. There's something unique. It's not a unique show, but there's something unique in the way we
approach it. Yeah,
and approach it.
I think
Like we shit talk live on the radio.
Our thing though is just because I think most podcasts in general, but like people listen to them based on the personality of the host, even if the show isn't as unique. The concept isn't super unique, like ours isn't unique, but it's just like, I sort of get where those guys are coming from. I share some of their same opinions. So
there's also different types of podcasts too. Like if you gave us $250,000 and you said, boys, go find aliens, we could make a compelling podcast.
We've done episodes based on
no, but I'm like, if you did like an
like,
investigative podcast, we could.
But one of my goals isn't the right word, but something I wanted to do, is just like do different podcasts on different things, not just this show. The only reason I still do this show and only this show is because it's just time. It's just we have this time slot. It's easy to do. We're all free at this time.
Yeah.
But otherwise I'd have more stuff. And yes, we would have the YouTube up and running and we would have this and we would have that. But yeah, I just think one of the things we're suffering, I don't know if that's the right word, one of the problems we're having is just like getting out there enough for people who would gel with our personality and our presentation to start to listen, because at the moment we're not getting out there enough, and that's why one thing we want to go to conventions and like network a little bit. But while we're on the floor, especially at Comic-Con this time,
especially without like a media badge, people just think you could be a weirdo.
Like we were trying to talk to people,
especially if they actually have media badges.
They just thought we were couple of weirdos who's like, oh yeah, we have podcasts.
They're not wrong, but
no, it's like they're not wrong. They're not wrong. But I felt like if we did have a badge, at least we could say, we're actually here as media, not just some guys who bought tickets and want to talk to
also
you.
Comic-Con. So our PAX experience was pretty positive. We felt like we were working at PAX, right? We had interviews lined up. We had
much more preparation for that. Well, we had prior contact.
It was also conducive to being media as well. Just the environment itself, it was more open. You had more opportunities to speak to people because they were there to present a product.
Yeah.
Whereas I was surprised because I expected more similarities between Comic-Con and PAX. Just because I've never been to Comic-Con, right? I had a general idea.
Yeah.
It was just a merch convention.
That's the thing.
I didn't know there were panels until Alan told me there were panels.
Yeah, but even this, like, so...
There's no room to interview people as such.
It was strange because PAX takes up the whole Melbourne Convention Center.
Yeah.
And it's huge. And they have it's almost split in half where you have sort of
the exhibition hall.
Exhibition hall, and then the
miscellaneous.
And then the tabletop sort of gaming.
Everything
section.
else, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and then you've got
PAX is kind of the middle part is merchandise and PC parts.
And on either side is different things showcasing. And then you've got little squared off sections in between those where you can have free play or there's other kind of
it's great
displays.
for content. That place is built for people like us to come around with the cameras
and to talk to people and say, what do you guys do?
But we were packed in like sardines at Comic-Con.
I assumed Comic-Con would be like that, but like I said, more broad because it's not just video games, but instead it's like a third of the size of PAX. They cut the
and it felt like there were the same amount of people at times too, because we were packed in.
Sometimes
so
it was,
and that's not to say it's a negative. It's just there's so much to see there.
Yeah.
But there's no room to maneuver and to interview and to talk to people.
Yeah,
it
was
really
also the way it was set up. It was
Yeah.
much more crammed in, and most 80% of it was just people selling
stuff.
Comics and figurines.
Not
and
even comics.
Mostly, not many
Just
comics.
what are they? Pop
vinyls.
Pop vinyls.
Vinyls.
And mostly just anime
merch.
stuff. Yeah.
I was very underwhelmed by
it
was like an anime convention, let's be honest.
I mean, everyone, the original Comic-Con in America was originally a comic convention. It was comics. And then it became more about, sci-fi,
Pop culture,
fantasy, pop culture.
I read something really interesting on the internet, and this specifically relates to Oz Comic-Con and what you're talking about, it says there's 3 eras of Oz Comic-Con. There's they call it in this comment the chaotic start, when it was run by Hub Productions, who now run Metro Comic-Con. They would have really good guests like William Shatner, Stan Lee, Benedict Cumberbatch, Shannon Doherty, big names. But they were used to running smaller conventions, which made them struggle with they couldn't really scale up appropriately.
Yeah.
So even though it was much similar to what we would think of the San Diego Comic-Con being like, it was a struggle because it was too big for that company.
The
to
logistics
handle.
probably got out of
Logistically,
hand.
they
Yeah.
struggled.
Yeah.
And then it got bought or sold to Reed Pop, who Reed Pop is the one that they're a worldwide Comic-Con company who got in the habit of sending guests from the same show. So they just could have guests go from Comic-Con to Comic-Con to Comic-Con to Comic-Con. It was more organized, but it was less kind of... there was less magic about kind of the middle years of Oz Comic-Con. But it was still identifiably Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And now the modern era is apparently what people refer to as the trade show Comic-Con.
Yeah.
It's expertise events bought it just before COVID, and they don't understand the market at all, apparently. And it's just really about funneling people into buying merchandise.
Which is
Definitely
definitely my
feels-
experience.
And there's less kind of like, as you said, Comic-Con.
Yeah, and there's less people. There's Artist Alley, which is really cool. You get a lot of talented people who make, print art and
all kinds of
sculptures and all sorts of cool stuff. And they're all like showing off their stuff.
They
and
also
that's
know
really
a couple
cool.
making knit plushies. I guess.
Yeah.
Nip
That was
plushies.
awesome.
Like those, each piece was original, like
Yeah,
handmade.
there was the lady we spoke to. She had those funny, creepy little flesh potatoes, and I was like,
Messed
oh,
up.
they were so creepy. I love them. It's like that stuff's cool, but it's very small section crammed into the very end of the
Yeah.
exhibition hall.
So would you say that's
Other
true? It's kind of just like a merchandise
Yeah.
convention.
Other than that, which is actual creative people showing off. Yes, they're still selling their stuff, but it's still like in indie kind
The
of
rest is
artists.
just stores.
The rest is just like,
Stores.
stores. It's just like
At
we
least
sell
with PAX,
figurines
look,
and
I didn't go to Comic-Con with you boys, but at least with PAX, I had the opportunity to play the games and play people's games and board games.
And they're
all
right
that.
there.
and the developers right there, and
yeah.
they
So you have to put on the fake smile as you're playing the game. Like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm
This is
really
great.
enjoying this game. Do you want to buy
I'm only
50
joking.
copies? No.
I'm only joking.
no, and there is a lot of crossover with PAX and Comic-Con. There are a couple of stalls that were the same,
Yeah.
couple of same people, whatever. And I assume there's a lot of crossover in
Yeah,
audience.
looking at you, King's Comics.
Oh yeah, they always have a stall anywhere they can get. But that's kind of,
Overpricing their
that's-
comics.
yeah.
I know what they're doing. I see you.
yeah. No, but that's kind of part of it. Is just like, yeah, it just felt like a bunch of like small,
It was like a nerd shopping mall.
sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course you got like the cosplay competition and the sort of guest, like the celebrity guests panel. But again, they're like crammed into corners. There's no real division like
Yeah.
there is in PAX, where there's like, oh, this is the
It's
big...
very abrupt.
They have
Yeah.
to manage the volume such that they're not obviously, since they're in opposite corners. If one's loud enough, it will be interrupting the other one.
Yeah.
But because it can't be loud enough, then unless you're sitting right at the front, you can't hear what's going on. So if you
Yeah,
like when
because
I was
you could-
on the outskirts of those panels, I know what the hell they're saying.
Yeah, you don't actually go in, like go and sit down to view the stage. Like it's just like you're walking through the stalls and then all of a sudden it emerges and there's like all folding chairs.
Yeah.
And there's a stage in the corner and it's just like there's no division or
I don't get a whole age of vibes out of this.
no, exactly. And that's the thing. The last time I went to Comic-Con was 2016 and I don't remember it well enough, but I do remember we went outside into the those actual the hall
The
like,
theaters,
the
yeah.
theaters with the auditoriums, yeah, and with the seats, and the celebrity guests would be in there, and there would be
That's what I don't understand. So you're at Oz Comic-Con, which is the convention center here in Melbourne, and you have access to these theaters, or you don't. And they choose not to use them if they had access to them.
maybe it's purely
Because they also have other things going on.
maybe
at
it's
the convention
purely
center.
after COVID, like it's just smaller
Yeah, 'cause
and
the-
there's less people coming. I
Were
don't
they,
know.
Were they running other conventions at the same time as
Yes.
Comic-Con? So maybe they couldn't use those theaters? But,
Maybe.
I mean, that's a bit of a cop-out, man. Like,
But I didn't see any signs where the theaters were to.
We walked
indicate
past
there was
them a
anything
couple
else happening.
times. And I don't think there was
Yeah, I'd
any.
say if you have access to the theaters, why don't you use them? You've already got
Probably-
the
it's probably
seats, the
cost-effective.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cost issue. Yeah,
Yeah,
could be
but-
cost issue.
It's probably that they would charge extra for that, and they don't want to pay the money.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
You're just giving you're just giving
look-
your audience a bad experience.
Mm.
That being said, I did enjoy my one day of Comic-Con. Just as a novelty, I think it was interesting to look at everything.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I personally think that the overwhelmingly capitalistic nature of Australia Comic-Con Melbourne Comic-Con is negative, because comics and science fiction and fantasy pop culture stuff, it's such a wonderful field, and to have it just like a convention that just boils down to buy my stuff, I think is a great waste. But I did find stuff there that I haven't been able to find elsewhere.
That's
So,
the thing.
you know, props. I still spent a lot of my money.
Yeah. Like it was still, we still like Alan and I went both days, a Saturday and Sunday. Callum came Saturday. Nathan couldn't make it, but like I still enjoyed. I thought it was fun. Like I enjoyed it, and like I got to see lots of cool stuff, and
I didn't
talk
get
to
sick.
some.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
yet. There might be a delayed reaction.
True. Yeah, I always get sick after PAX, so that's still one up on
Yeah.
Comic-Con.
Yeah, and we were packed in pretty tight at certain points. What was I saying?
I
Yeah,
spent-
I enjoyed the 2 days. We had fun. We talked to some interesting people. We saw some cool stuff. We found some sort of merch and stuff that you can't find. That's the best thing about like any convention, is finding stuff that's more unique to just that convention, or stuff you wouldn't find. Because a problem with is a lot of these stores, they have online stores or physical stores
Yeah.
where you can get that stuff anytime, or they're selling stuff that's just readily available on Amazon or any other store.
Yeah.
So when I go to conventions, I like to look for stuff that's, independently made or, unique to the convention or
Yeah.
unique to that artist, or this is a one-off thing
It's
that
like
I made
that's-
for this convention.
They do that quite in a big way at like San Diego Comic-Con. They have Comic-Con exclusives and
Yeah. Not just like Comic-Con exclusive merch, but just like more just like the Artist Alley stuff. I feel like the convention would have been better if it was all Artist Alley.
Yeah, I agree.
But then I'm like, I'm pretty sure there probably is a convention like that. And then I know there's like a curiosities convention with like weird, creepy stuff. There's probably a horror convention. I'm like, Comic-Con should be a combination of all the other conventions, just in one big, massive thing, so people can go.
Yeah.
Whereas this felt like it was just kind of
Yeah.
some people selling their stuff, and like you'd have to go to each individual convention to get what you actually want.
I think my main problem is that it was just to me at least, it was just an anime convention.
I
was like, that's fine. I like anime as much as the next, maybe not as much as the next guy.
not
looking
as much
at Alan.
as literally the next guy.
But it's like James was saying, we had dinner with Nathan. We went out for dinner after. And it's like James was saying, it was all current anime. There wasn't even any retro anime. Like, not that we could see, wasn't readily available. It was just like what's hot at the moment. And Pokemon. Because
I
Pokemon
think-
is eternally hot.
Yeah,
But I'm like, if it is going to be a broadly anime / Japanese culture, like half of it was like Japanese stuff and anime.
yeah.
It's a shame there was no 90s anime box sets you could buy,
But that's
or figurines of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like they're just selling whatever's popular right now, like the One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen. What else was there?
There was some Dragon Ball stuff.
Yeah, I guess Dragon Ball and Pokemon are ever present.
It was hugely popular. Was Spy X Family?
Yeah, One Punch Man, I think.
Yeah.
So
I saw
like
lots and lots of paintings of like K-pop singers as well.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I felt old.
there is
looking at this stuff.
I mean,
That made you feel old, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Not your deteriorating body and everything else. Now.
the thing, yeah,
You're not wrong.
You're so tired walking around. No, but like I do appreciate that there are things in there that I'm not knowledgeable about. I will never be into.
Oh yeah.
And I do like that. Oh, it's cool that people have a place they can go to celebrate this.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Is that you actively encouraging furries? Is that it?
Hey man, whatever floats your boat. I don't want to yuck anyone else's yum, but yeah, that's not my thing. But I just like there are things where, all right, we're not into that, but it's cool that they can go and celebrate that. But I don't think that's what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, there's that, and then there's like some stalls and Artist Alley, and other than that, it didn't feel like a pop culture convention.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is it was to me, it was an anime convention. I was like, okay, where are all the comics? There was like 2 or 3 comic stalls.
Yeah,
right? It was like
also
it was like a third of a meadery convention as well.
We
saw like 3.
There were
think
two-
we saw.
there were
me
two-
and Alan found a great mead. But then me and James independently came across 3 others, and then James was like, "Is this the one?" I'm like, "No, this isn't the one."
It was. It ended up. We went back on the Sunday. It was that one that we walked past, and we couldn't find the Turkish delight flavored mead.
That was awesome.
We went back, and Alan was like, "There it is, there." And and then we tried the honey because they made honey like the different types of honey. That was good.
Honey.
That was They had 2 different medieval like armorer places, and then they had like 2 meaderies and 1 like other like
vodka gin
2
place.
candy shops that did the like those long
they were at PAX too. There's a lot of crossover, and there's a lot like
and multiple, I guess, anime figure shops, which I actually appreciated because one of them seemed to be a brand new getup. They didn't have a name for some reason. They had 2 stalls, did not have a name, but their figurines were priced extremely reasonably.
See, that's interesting because most places were selling stuff at
go
the
to a
same
con
price or for a lot more.
So you go to a con and you rip people off. That's the game.
No. We saw a small tabletop outfit as well, and they were selling their stuff for a reasonable price. And I even remarked a dude was selling some nice dice, and they were $10 a pack. And I said to James, I'm like, "Look, reasonably priced dice." Or was it Alan? I can't remember.
Might have been me.
And then he actually said, we're making it a point to price our stuff fairly. Because, like, it's such a strange thing, right? Dice are so easily made, so cheaply made. And then someone would be like, "Oh, yeah, here are my special pink dice. That'll be $80. Well, I'm like, man,
it is Pride Month. These are the rainbow dice I have.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing as well.
No, but like the dice you can get on like $15 off Temu.
But that's what I was
actually, referencing Timo, someone bought a badge.
Yes, Callum bought
and I saw it, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I bought
I spent was it $25 or $35 on those badges?
And how much it cost
like
on
$25 for 3.
How much it cost on Temu?
It was $10 each.
$1.
So Callum bought Callum bought Alum a little Chainsaw Man pin. And then
Alan's like, I've already got it, mate.
Nathan already bought me that one.
Yeah,
I got him a One Piece
of
one.
Timo, and it was like $1. And then I saw
that's our new business with drop shipping pins.
I think then I saw a Evangelion pin that I wanted, and it was $10. And I looked up online, and you could get a pack of 10 different pins with different designs, Evangelion designs, for like $2 on like AliExpress.
Yeah.
Now they were the same as the ones I was selling there.
People make a fortune by buying stuff off Temu, AliExpress,
and the
people off
crazy thing
slavery in China, and then reselling it at
people were going
1,000%
nuts
markup.
over this stall for pins.
Yeah.
Like
And
this,
see, but
this
that's-
this portrait, this figurine of Marco the Phoenix from One Piece. It was quite similar to this. This one is being charged at, what's the expected rate of $330, or usually priced at $355. And the equivalent figurine with this company was $75, discounted to $65.
Wow.
Oh,
I was actually going to get it. I did the, not Jesus take the wheel, but fate determined it for me. I said, by the time we leave, if it's still available, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't fancy carrying it around during the session. By the time I got back, it was gone. Which, like, I didn't kind of have the space ready for it at the moment at home anyway. So it was going to be a bit of a difficulty, smuggling it in. So it was better for me, but I was very happy that it got sold because I'm like, at least these guys made the money. Because if they make some money, make a little bit of a profit, they're more likely to come back at maybe PAX or something.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what you want because, everyone should be able to eat. I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to eat and make money. But realistically speaking, when you're like, this is extruded plastic with some paint on it.
Yeah.
$350 is a bit.
I don't ever really begrudge anyone, selling things for a markup. I mean, big corporations, I guess. Yeah. But when they have the stalls and it's like, this is obviously stuff they've bought in bulk, and then I pricing it. I mean, Comic-Con, in a way, is good for people who wouldn't normally be looking out for this stuff or know about this stuff, and then just come and be like, oh, wow, there's this cool sort of figurine or whatever that they wouldn't have known about otherwise. But then I guess it is a little bit predatory because that person could then just go online.
Yeah.
But it's like, to them, it's like, oh, it's special. I found it at Comic-Con.
Yeah, and it's also here, and a lot of people prepare money to spend at Comic-Con or PAX, whatever.
Yeah.
Before we forget, I want to say there was a celebrity that James and me saw, that James had a photo taken with that wasn't on the Comic-Con website listed, and I was very surprised.
They just buy a ticket just to attend, and they would
No, the one only R2D2.
Oh, right.
Still attended conventions after all these years. We took a photo of James with R2D2. It was really great, wholesome moment. He even made some beeping sounds.
Yeah, well, it was like the actual life-size,
full-size R2D2 unit.
fully remote
Articulated.
control. Yeah, lighted up. Like, it was like one you'd see in the movie. Yeah, and they were driving him around with an Xbox controller. Yeah, and there were a couple more droids there too.
And there were Jawas that
and
Alan was
there was
racist
Jawa.
about.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I said to James, it's funny because he made a racist remark about a Jawa, and I got actually upset about it.
Yeah, like,
And
don't you dare.
I said to James, I'm like, for a man that hates Star Wars, it's sometimes when someone insults something from the original trilogy, it makes me realize how much I actually kind of love it still.
Yeah, it's like, because I can't remember what the group's called. Is it the 501st
Yeah,
Legion?
501st Legion, yeah.
So they're like
they're professional cosplayers.
Cosplays, they make screen accurate stormtrooper and clone trooper suits, like armored suits and stuff.
Some of them were extras in the films before.
Yeah, and they have very high standards. You can't just build it, like, has to be like 1-to-1 movie quality. And you can join them, and they do like parades for charity and stuff like that, and they take photos with kids and stuff. And they're at all the conventions, and they had a stall at Comic-Con. But even like as much as I'm like completely not interested in Star Wars anymore, especially the new stuff. Yeah, I mean, the classic stuff I still like. But even like when they had like clone troopers, and I'm like, I don't like that stuff. But I still like, aesthetically, I'm like, this is cool. And
when people take cosplay seriously,
the funny part is, I don't even recall making the racist remark about the Jawas.
I can't remember exactly what it was.
I'm sure it's not appropriate for on-air commentary.
It's a non-existent thing. I feel like it's fine.
Because Alan's an AI trained on Twitter.
Yeah, but the words you might have said probably were not fine.
Just racist remarks, like without even thinking.
That's.
I'm pretty sure I can remember what you said. I'll remind you after the show.
On that note, we might go to a very quick ad break where we'll get to the bottom of this, and we'll be back right after these quick messages. You are back on the Tuesday Review, talking all things Oz Comic-Con and Alan's racism towards the Jawa people.
My racism was accurate, I feel.
Look,
but we will not repeat it.
Typical anti-Tatooine sentiment. Let's move on.
Yeah. I don't like sand. It's too
if they had succeeded, the Star Wars story wouldn't have taken place. I'm just saying.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, they were effectively a set of bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
neutral.
Yeah, but that's true. But if they didn't have R2D2, then
Luke, they wouldn't have sold him to.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Anyone else have any other thoughts towards Comic-Con? What did we like? Did we dislike anything specific?
I would be interested in going next year, just because, like I said, I think it's a place where you can find rare things. And interesting things, because it's a lot cheaper than PAX, right? Like I bought a 1-day pass, and for me it was, and James kicked in $10.
All right,
so
$15.50, which Alan still owes you.
It costs a 1-day pass is $45, which to enter a convention where there's so much stuff there that you can't really get elsewhere.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
Alan's shaking his head that he owes Callum money. He also owes me money in the studio.
He owes everyone money.
The movie ticket for August the 3rd, sir.
Oh yeah, I'm not paying for that. I get one of the free tickets.
No, we agreed on this, sir. This is an argument we'll have off the
This is something we can talk about off air. I would go again. I wouldn't do a whole weekend. I
think you could do it definitely in one day.
I hope to see less. I like anime,
Yeah.
I hope to see less anime and more broad pop culture next time.
You know it's not going to happen.
I think, because
I feel like it was oversaturated this year, and also more eating space for the boys.
Yeah, they didn't have like
a
a cafeteria area. Like
we had to go out to what was it, Goldfields and get
your
their
cafe
overpriced
outside.
stuff there.
Yeah.
But that's a problem.
I mean, it's overpriced inside as well, but still.
Yeah,
you
way
know,
over.
capitalism destroys everything that we
Yeah.
love.
But I think it's still worth going. It's just having the PAX experience, which was really
Premium.
cool. Yeah, and then we had Oz Comic-Con, and I thought Oz Comic-Con would be more prepared, and there'd be more a variety of different people to talk to rather than just video game developers. But it ended up being like there weren't a lot of people we could talk to, and the people we could talk to, well, they are busy a lot of the time, so we didn't want to bother them.
Yeah.
But also, like, the vibe was off, and the area, it wasn't conducive.
Yeah.
To it. But yeah, we did talk to some people, and we're gonna sort of try to interview them in the future. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I just it made me think a lot about like how we put ourselves out there.
Yeah,
And
look, keep in mind, I think it'd be hard for anyone, even content creators, everyone. Comic-Con is a very chaotic environment.
Yeah,
It's very noisy all the time. You're cramped in. I think that, like, our PAX experience was very positive.
I get the feeling that Comic-Con isn't necessarily a place where you can go and video record. And
Yeah.
like, it's not
we
the same
couldn't pull
media-friendly
it was
environment.
different from, like, with PAX, we could pull people aside and into a corner somewhere and say, hey, let's record a quick interview.
I feel like
Whereas Comic-Con was like...
Comic-Con's a kind of, you know, on the news where they'll have a fluff piece?
Yeah.
And there'll just be the camera going through the crowd, and then they'll be like, I'm here at Comic-Con, and they're expecting this much money to come through hands, this way. And then
Yeah.
it's like 10 minutes on, they'll just go up to a random nerd.
I think
Yeah.
the
And they'll be
best.
like,
Are you,
well,
handing are you handing out a video plan for this episode?
No. But I mean, that's
But
the
that's-
intended way to cover
Yeah.
Comic-Con. So we did okay.
the best thing I
No,
think you
but
could
that's the
do
thing
in a
is-
situation like this is just a man on the street kind of deal.
That's the thing is,
Yeah.
like, I was like to Alan, I'm like, I got my microphone, I got the camera, let's just go up to people and ask, you know, a question. And I was like, what are we going to ask? Like, what's your favorite thing you've seen at Comic-Con?
Also, without the media badge, it's also
and
a
then
lot
I'm
harder
like,
to get away with.
And then also,
Yeah.
we're just a bunch of guys, like, with
we're media, we swear.
shoving a camera in people's faces. And I was just like,
we need to
this
have
is-
one of those,
it
you know,
was
those
all
placards
wrong.
you wear around your chest?
Yeah, that, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw people with those. We didn't get
We
those.
need it. No, I mean a placard.
We should have just gotten a
Like a
Warzone
placard.
Like a
vest.
massive... No,
No,
that
placard
that-
says,
the press
the press
vest,
one, yeah.
we'll get a
Like
A
a silver
fedora,
one.
yeah.
a fedora with a little press
Yeah.
tag on it.
Now just have a high vis press written on it.
Yeah, just talk to me on the thing.
Yeah. No, it was just... Yeah, I we also didn't have time to prepare like we did with PAX. But,
Yeah, that's on them. We didn't.
I think next time we do any convention, we'll have to come up with a better running plan. Also, one thing I noticed, which was I wasn't having fun because I was kept thinking, oh, we have to do stuff for the show. We have to talk to people. And so I'm going around looking at things,
No, but
thinking, how can this factor into our show? How can this... And I ended up getting to the end of the hall, and I was like, "I'm not having fun. I'm just going to stop thinking about this.
bring it
and
back
just
to
have fun."
basics. Bring it back to basics, and be like, look. At the end of the day, all we can guarantee to these people, YouTube video, everything else is supplementary,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
At a very basic, when we apply these things,
It's
we have to say,
outdoors.
look, we're a radio show. We do radio discussion.
Yeah.
You're going to discuss your experiences. Anything else that we might get out of is purely supplemental.
Yeah.
And
So
I think
you have
we've
to
achieved
enjoy the
that.
experience to be able to talk about it. You have to engage.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And but you get inside your own head and you're like, what? I need video footage of this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But it's also because you go to Comic-Con, you go, okay, everyone, we're gonna now present that to our audience, and you want them to have fun with it and feel like, maybe not feel like they were there, but feel like
yeah,
they're
of course.
they're
They have an
getting
insight.
something. Yeah, they have an insight. Which I think we did more with PAX because we were able to talk to...
PAXs makes it easier.
We
Yeah.
also had they also treated us as media better.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you said, you guys didn't get a media badge or anything.
No.
So it's like they just kicked us some free tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's how we should be treating it. Less like we failed at our responsibilities.
yeah, it's not
and
that we failed. It's just...
More that they didn't give us enough time to prepare, number one.
The event,
Number two, they hampered us by not giving us the actual media,
Yeah.
giving you guys the actual media badges that let people know this guy's media. Maybe we can come and talk to him, or people will be more amenable to talking to us.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas we were just walking around as patrons.
Yeah, it looked
customers.
like we were.
You know what I
think,
mean?
yeah.
So it's not. It's one of those things where there needs to be a meet in the middle. It's not.
Without having been there, I can't say 100%. But it seems to me like PAX seems to be still for the culture, and Comic-Con seems to be for the commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely.
So
seems...
I mean, you either you have greater success being media or just talking about stuff relating to culture more than you do relating to commerce, right? Like, oh yeah, I saw 1,000 stores that wanted to sell me stuff. Oh, cool, that doesn't make great
and
content
a lot of the
for
same
anyone.
stuff.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
it
a lot
doesn't,
of the same
it doesn't
stuff.
make good discussion for anyone.
Yeah.
Not let alone they're talking about comic books. Like, there's not really a lot to do and to see as far as distinct things.
Yeah.
So I can understand how it's difficult to talk about because what are you going to talk about? I don't know, comics, I guess, comics and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like I wanted to talk to people because I thought what they were doing was interesting. But other than Artist Alley, like there was not a lot of, individual people creating their own
you're right.
things. And, we talked to some of those artists and we got some of their details. And so hopefully we can talk to them in the future. But actually at the event, we were like, you can't really swing an
And it's one of those things
now,
where if someone's there selling a comic that they've made, you can't just pick up their book and then read it and then be like,
That's the
oh
other
man,
thing.
can I talk to you about this? Because then, like at PAX, you can play their game and then you can actually say, how did this come about?
That's the other thing.
Then you can say,
there were so many
you
artists,
can't-
I'm like, I'm not familiar with their work, so I don't feel like I should be...
At the same time, it's also not in a great place to be able to try and pull them aside. They're trying to sell their work. They're trying to... The space is smaller. It's noisier. You can't really have like, hey, have you got 5 minutes for a quick interview? So from what I'm hearing, this is
in Artist
difficult.
Alley,
Yeah.
the booth structure was pretty restricted as well.
Yeah, it was very packed in.
It was better on the Sunday with the amount of people that came, but obviously understand that Saturday is like the big day. It needed to be better organized than that.
Yeah.
I know PAX at least also has the decency to set the little tape lines of like, if you want to stand and like look at something, be inside the lines. Otherwise, this is the walkway. Don't stand on the walkway.
Yeah.
There's
PAX was much better.
People were
organized.
standing on the walkway all the time.
Yeah.
And then there were people being abusive, which is another issue.
Yeah.
I think overall, it's a great one-day experience.
Yeah.
How was the body
if-
odor?
In the alley, you had to like get out and breathe and then get back in.
And
Look, it's not being
I
mean.
was-
It's a notorious
No,
thing.
no,
Anytime
yeah.
you get thousands of nerds together,
I
there's
was
going to
with
be
the
like a
boys-
deodorant.
So my senses aren't as good as the rest of the boys, and so I was fine. And then Alan made a comment, and then I'm like, "I don't smell it." And then a few seconds passed, and then it was like wham,
Oh, way,
and I was like, "Yeah, there it is."
There it is. Like again, it's not even just about nerds. You go to like a sporting thing.
Anytime
when
people
it's
get sweaty
and it's
and-
cosplayers are in those like crazy costumes for such a long time. No, it wasn't bad.
it's like it's just a typical thing. But
Yeah.
it's more of I would go for the
think-
one day. If they were able to give us like 4 one-day passes, I would have been so much happier because then
That would
more
have
of
been
us would have
better.
gone.
Yeah.
I think maybe next time
I
we
think if-
put in like the thing of like, can we get 4 passes? But
Do
just
we
one
throw
day
them
pass?
shade next time? Be like, hey, you need to give me an actual media badge last
I think
time.
next time we'll email...
Apply properly and be
we'll-
like, you
yeah.
hampered our job.
We'll email them and
Yeah.
be like, look, we saw people with actual things and
Yeah.
we would like...
Because at the same time, look, to listeners, you listen to this as a podcast, but this is a volunteer job for us here. We're
That's what I
going
wanted
live on the air. We also need to be treated with a certain level of respect. We are broadcasting
But
live.
that's the other thing I wanted to say is like we would love to do this full time or as a job or whatever, but at the moment we can only fit it in when we can find some free time. And we tried so hard at PAX to get as much footage and as much interview as possible, and we're still like behind on releasing that stuff, and it's almost it's been almost a year.
We released most of it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like we had so
yeah.
much footage and photos and audio, and it's just like we can only work on it when we can. And so this time around, I was like, we're not going to have time to keep up with getting this out in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
So that's something we have to work on, and as well, like Alan couldn't make it to PAX, and then Nathan couldn't make it to Comic-Con. Callum could only come one day to Comic-Con. So I think if
To be
all
fair, we
four
had
of
less
us-
than a week's notice.
we only have a few days notice.
Again,
but
a little bit of
I think
disrespect
next
for how
time-
we got treated for Oz Comic-Con.
I
They're
think
like,
next
you got
time-
3 days notice, boys. You're not getting actual media badges.
I think
Go.
next time, if all four of us go for a whole either day or 2 days, and we have a plan,
And we have an obnoxiously big camera, so people know.
That's maybe that's what we need is an actual big camera. So because the whole
and we
thing,
need a boom mic.
yeah, the whole thing about my little camera is like, oh, it's portable and
It could
easy,
just be
and
some guy
it's
made
not,
filming. Yeah,
and it's not invasive. But when you do pull that out, it's like, oh, this is just some random guy with his little GoPro.
We need high vis. We need high vis. 98.9 Northwest FM.
Yeah, but then people look up
JS
9.9. They're like, the
radio. It's fine.
Nah, true.
Again, that's the thing. We gotta have respect in ourselves for where we are, and it's in the fact that it is a legitimate station.
Yeah.
Reach of broadcast aside,
Yeah.
we need to have the attitude. Doesn't matter, mate.
It was a good weekend.
Yeah.
We had fun. I had fun. I got some, cool stuff. But just made me think a lot about just the logistics of it, and not only the logistics of how they ran the convention, but the logistics of how we can approach it in the future.
I think you, as I said before, you got like 3-4 days notice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like there's only so much people can do to prepare for that when they just spring it on you.
Yeah, also, let's not sell ourselves short here. The convention was not set up for media. Just as harsh as that sounds, it was not like PAX is prepared for that thing. They have people reaching out to organize interview slots.
Yeah.
They have
And the
room.
people showing off their stuff are usually
Whereas
like...
Comic-Con, it's literally like Pipeworks, except it was all for nerds.
Yeah, in a way. In a way, it is. Actually, there was even like a Nerf gun kind of...
I probably was going to pay $2 to get in.
And there was a guy selling...
and you get all the pirated DVDs you want.
like military gear and so yeah,
my point is, it's not set up for people like us to do a job there.
Mm.
It's set up for people to buy crap.
Mm.
So that's the thing. Like I said, I think that the media's obligation with Comic-Con is to just go through crowds, filming stuff, and then job's done. A person stands outside. They're like, I'm a Comic-Con, and that's it.
Because they had celebrity guests, and like
Jim Beaver.
You get assaulted if you're like, "Hi, I'm from 98.9."
That's the thing is I don't even know. I mean, we could have.
Jim Beaver would just punch you in the face.
Get idiot. But I don't even know. We could have emailed and asked, but I assume they wouldn't even be interested in talking to us.
Yeah.
But would we have access if they were interested? Would they even approach the idea?
I don't know. But my point is there was as far as I'm aware, there's none of that information made available to media. There's you know what I mean?
I think
it seems to be very scattershot.
It's a learning experience. Next time we'll be more prepared, and hopefully next time we can all go and we can sort of
ask more questions to them.
Yeah, and sit down and make a game plan, because we got there and we were just kind of like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Our publicist will hear about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the one thing we did do was take some footage of the actual entire convention floor. So hopefully we'll put that on YouTube soonish. And if you're interested at all, you can see at least sort of what we're talking about when we talk about the layout and the stalls. And it's not great footage by any means, but we're just
it gives you an idea of
the oppressive capitalist nature of Comic-Con.
Yeah. And there's a lot of cool stuff there, don't get me wrong. But it was just
chicken tendy / popcorn / nuggies.
Oh yeah,
I think we call them chicken niggies or something.
They were popcorn chicken. I think they had on the.
Do you take footage of the idols dancing on the stage?
No.
I might have. Yeah, they had the idol competition.
And it was so interesting. I felt like an outsider because everyone knew the songs and they're clapping.
But that's
at the right
what I'm
time.
saying.
And then I'm standing there
I have no idea about that stuff, but it's kind of cool that all these people can just have their just celebrate it.
They're not singing in English, and all these white people know the lyrics or whatever, and I'm standing there like I'm David Attenborough, what's going on?
Don't pretend you're not a weeb. You're weeb.
I'm not.
He's not that kind of weeb.
No, different kind of weeb.
I'm the older kind of weeb.
Is it JRPG?
JRPG, tentacle hentai, that kind of stuff.
Nah, I'm the old school one who's give me the Neon Genesis, please.
Yeah.
Or give me
Not the K-pops.
Yeah, I want the old school stuff. No, but yeah,
give me my what's it called with the big heads and the psychic powers?
Akira.
Give me the Akira, man.
Oh, somebody had done some Pokemon art of that kind of stuff, where they had the Akira bike.
Oh yeah,
so it was Pikachu on
Pikachu on the bike.
Sorry, it was a Pokemon trainer on the newest generation Pokemon, which the Pokemon looks like a motorbike.
Of course it does.
Pokemon's got really weird lately.
Pokemon,
But they basically have the trainer on the motorbike Pokemon doing the same skid as what was his name? Haneda on his cannon bike, as I like to call it.
yeah. They do a lot of crossover art and fan art. It's really, and cosplayers, like, people are so talented. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really impressive costumes.
It's a really unfortunate one sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were going through Artist Alley, and James is like, "We're so dumb."
Yeah,
And I'm
we're so
"Yeah,
like
we are dumb.
untalented and we suck.
We do.
I think
That's
yeah,
what
I
you
think-
said. You
I
said
think,
we
yeah,
suck.
I'm just like there's all these really talented like painters and art, like illustrators and authors and sculptors, and I'm just like, man, we're so talentless. We suck.
We do.
We
Yeah.
can make a screenplay.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about making a screenplay that one
We did
time?
talk about it. Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
have very little drive. I think
Speak
that's
for
our problem.
yourself.
I think it's just time. It's like time,
and discipline.
Speak for yourself, boys.
time, money, and motivation.
We have all.
energy.
We're lacking everything. We're the consumers, all right? The world needs consumers.
That's
as
the
well.
other thing I was thinking about, right? I'm like, I like to consume this stuff, but I also want to be a creative person and create it. But the act of creating, I find awful. And maybe that's just me, something I have to get
Skill issue,
over.
mate.
Yeah, maybe it's like I'm just.
I think
You
I
got to
don't
find
think-
what you want to create, because if it's hard
That's
for you to
the
create
thing.
it,
I
you don't
don't
want to
think-
create it.
I
but
don't
that's
think.
what I'm saying. Is like I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
think
that's
it's
how
that
I've got all in life
difficult.
to create turds and like give them to people and make them pay for turds.
Even this podcast, I'm like, it's like, what are we doing here?
We're just talking crap.
Yeah.
We're delivering turds to the world, and some people like to receive our turds.
Actually, that's a
There
fact.
might-
Some people just like to receive these turds. Okay, yeah, have more self-esteem for this show. We get invited to places. Don't
Yeah.
you forget that.
That's true. Yeah.
We'll be doing all kinds of cool stuff.
Hey, we got a YouTube
Europe.
comment
I think-
where some guy was like, "I like this show because they have actual conversations."
Yeah,
That's
which
right.
is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like, yeah, our show might not be unique, but our personality, the way we interact, our banter, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to get our own studio and have longer form, so
One
we
day,
can just
one day.
go.
So we can bully you like an impulsive, and then you leave.
Well,
and I sell some Prime.
I know when I go to Europe, Alan's taking over, and I probably won't
passwords
be.
change, everything's good.
I probably won't be back.
But I was gonna say, you know, the problem is money, man. If we had a blank check, we
Yeah.
could be creative people because we're not worrying
Yeah.
about. We could be like, all right, we're gonna make a movie. What else we got to do? Like,
Yeah.
it's just time.
That's the
and
thing, after-
time is money, and that's it.
After we finish work, it's like none of us want to do
No,
anything.
like work takes it
creative.
out of you. Like
Yeah.
work takes your energy, and you need money to live, so you can't do anything creative because you're always tired after work.
Yeah.
If you didn't have to worry about money and all you had is time, we could make a movie. We could do whatever we wanted because you have those stresses out of
Yeah.
your system.
Yeah. And every time I do have free time, I'm like, I don't want to waste it actually doing something because I know
You
I'm
need
just
to
going to have to
rest,
go to
yeah.
work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to lie on the couch and binge anime or play a video game.
Yeah, so it does
I
make
don't know.
it
That, I mean,
difficult.
that's also a problem with me. I won't speak for you guys. Is it Men's Mental Health Month? I think it's this month.
We get a month.
Suck it up, princess.
Nah, man, we're lucky.
I
if we
mean,
get
they
it.
call things months, but whether we actually get anything.
Isn't that November?
It's called
But-
the Men Don't Cry Month.
No, that's the
Real men don't-
November.
What happened to the real men like
cancer,
Gary Cooper?
So you-
Sopranos reference.
But it's like it's just talk. Yeah, men would rather do a podcast than go to therapy. But it's just talking through it, like going to Oz Comic-Con and then talking about with you guys, and like it's just an interesting thing that I've been thinking about. Of like we're still trying to get out there as a podcast, and I feel like PAX was a big step forward. But since then, we're still sort of trying to.
Yeah, we got snubbed by Supernova. We'll let them know.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We were supposed to go
Alright.
to Supernova.
We
That's
need
what
to go to
ended up
Vix.
happening.
Jokes on Supernova. We snuck in so many times using high-vis vests and our friend Chris like, in the older days.
Well, Jake, who came with us to Oz Comic-Con, he went to Supernova this year. He said Supernova was better. It was much better
All right,
set out.
we need to go. We need to go to Vic Screen, and we need a couple $1 million, and then we can make a movie.
All right. But it's going to be based
Yeah.
on
Oh, we've got ideas.
time travel, and then entropy, and trying to change an event. The guy's wife dies, and he tries to bring her back, but then it doesn't work out because it's a canon event. It requires a lot of energy to put into the system.
We were talking about Primer one day off air because
Yeah, Alan
Alan
needs to
hadn't
watch-
seen it,
Alan
and
needs to
that
watch
was
Primer.
made for like $7,000 or
Yeah.
something.
Done deal. We'll make
Yeah.
that. It's better.
Yeah, that's all the time we got.
Anyway,
everyone.
Comic Con was fun, but
go again.
would go again.
But
But
we got dissed.
we got yeah. It was just a weird situation, and yeah. Next time we'll hopefully get more
Out of it.
out of it and be able to share more with the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
We need to just fake all the confidence so people feel confident talking to you.
That's the thing, is I'm not very confident when I'm talking to people. This is the most talking I do all week. After this, I just do not speak. Yeah.
He has like a little AI robot voice for when he's on Zoom calls. It's like no one knows James's real voice. He just types it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're all out of time for tonight, everyone. Thanks for listening. Please like and share the Tuesday Review on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, on Newsmaster and Blue Sky, and on the Twitter.
Not Twitter, but
Also on YouTube at Tuesday Review AU on all platforms.
hopefully we'll release the con footage. It's just a walk. It's like an hour-long walkthrough of the floor, the con floor. So
You could be watching it right now for all we know.
We'll probably put it as.
Have you already put it out?
No.
No,
As
we
long
could
as
just
you
upload-
listen to this. It might be the.
Oh,
we
yeah,
could just
listen to-
upload this audio onto the YouTube with that as the video. If it's the same length,
that
why
was the
not?
plan.
Yeah, that was the Alan had that idea. It was a good idea. So I think it should be around the same length. So yeah, all right, we can do that.
Yeah, we can definitely. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.